Coaching in Session.
Your exclusive destination for unparalleled personal and professional growth.
With your host, Michael Rearden.
Whether you choose to live within limits or break free, your mindset journey begins here.
When was the last time you looked at your relationship for everything that it was and how it was built? Most people, when it comes to their relationships, they don't necessarily look at it as, oh, I remember in the beginning and what we did and what we talked about. We think about where we are today. I can't tell you how many people who are in marriages, for example, and they forgot all the conversations that they might have had when they were talking to each other, learning about each other. And now the communication might be so distant. So there might be no communication, even though all the work was done in the beginning to build that relationship. And if we had to separate what builds or what creates or what makes a relationship, we can separate it into three types, right? We can go into the affection stage or the attraction stage or the connection stage, right? And I like to order it like this, ACA, right? And of course, you can order it how you are because everyone has a different mindset. But in the mind of someone who's looking for a relationship to build a family, this is typically how it goes, right? You have your attraction. You're attracted to someone, whatever the attraction is, right? Intellectual, physical, whatever. You're attracted to them. Next, you have connection, right? But this takes some time. It's not all of a sudden, I feel so connected to you. Now, I know sometimes you'll watch a movie or you might hear people say, it just feels right. Like we are so connected. Okay, great, right? We can have that, right? It can happen very quickly. Does it? Maybe for some. But then we look at the last part, the affection. And the affection typically comes last. Now, when we look at it all as a whole, affection can come anytime, right? Because maybe you are super drunk at the bar and you just see a person and you just start, kissing them up or something, right? It's affection, right? Maybe you have an inkling of an attraction to that person, but then again, with bear goggles or with, some level of inebriation inside of you or substance inside of you, can you say that you're truly attracted to this person? Because maybe you wake up and you're like, whoa, who are you? Maybe they're not exactly your type, but at the time they were. And so there's going to be different stimuli that the mind or that you might be experiencing in your day that's going to affect how you view someone else. But when you're looking at a long-term relationship, it is more linear. So we're looking for someone we're attracted to by any degree, by any factor, and then we move in to building the connection. We're learning about them, learning their favorite colors, what they like, what they don't like, how many dogs or cats do they want. And we need to know these things because when we get down the line, maybe, and they say, oh, we don't want marriage. Oh, we don't want kids. Now, all of a sudden, all of that attraction to the person, it might still be there, but the connection is almost like you're trying to connect something and you keep on missing. And so we need all of these different aspects. And I talked about values, and values are going to be an important part in the connection process because when you have someone with similar and like values, it is easier to connect with them. And then we are going to be looking at the last part, which is the affection. This is where most relationships struggle. We think of men who are complaining about they're not getting sex, but at the same time, are those same men doing the same things they did when they were trying to court their woman? Are they taking them out to eat or, dates or something along those lines? Are they sending them texts? Are they back rubs, foot rubs, whatever it be? What did you do in the beginning that now you're not doing? So the affection is now waning away. And so depending on the person, what their love language is, maybe they just need like gifts. Maybe they need actions, right? Just, affirmations of I'm still in love with you. It could be something as simple as, hey, food, all right? Like someone loves food and you go out to eat every week and you keep up the communication. And all of this is to be said that love can be complicated, but we don't have to complicate love. And so here I have this article, Attraction versus Connection versus Affection. When we're looking at this article, there is something to be said. And the first thing is you can be attracted to someone without connection or affection. You can feel affection for someone you're not attracted to. And you have to understand that if you want to truly be in a committed, long lasting relationship, it requires the connection, attraction, and also the affection layered beautifully. Now, when people are coming with relationship problems and they're coming with marital problems or there's threats of divorce, oftentimes all of these things are still there, but there's going to be something, a factor that is going to be the debilitating factor. And oftentimes, when it comes in relationships, is finance. Finance is probably the number one reason why people break up. Someone spends too much. Someone doesn't know how to save. Someone is not being true to the budget or whatever it be, and it's causing a lot of unnecessary stress. If you know anything about the body, you know anything about the mind. The mind and the body does not like stress, especially bad stress. We like good stress. And so when we're trying to give ourselves the possibility of a life of no stress, the easiest way to do it would be to run. I don't want this in my life, so let me get rid of it. If something is broken, it is easier to throw it away and get a new one, right? It is easier, right? Think about it. If you break a plate and the plate is broken, how many pieces are that, like, is that plate going to be in? It could be tens, 20s, maybe hundreds of pieces, and you have to make a choice. Are you going to sit there with the super glue, try to get everything right? But the reality is that plate is not going to be exactly how it was, right? It's not going to be perfect anymore. Maybe the plate wasn't perfect to begin with, but it was a plate that was functional. And now it's a plate that might not be able to hold liquid because of the cracks. Maybe it's not safe to eat because there's chips and this could be shards of glass. And so it is no longer safe. So most people, what happens in a relationship that has been tarnished or dismantled to some level or degree, they say, what's the point of keeping this? It is too toxic. It's too dangerous. The mind is not going to just sit there and say, well, let's suffer. Let's just keep on with this broken plate. You have to be deliberate and you have to say, well, I understand there was a hiccup or there was a accident or a crack. And some people can forgive those things. Some people can, let bygones be bygones. But the mindsets of people today, it is almost like a one and done thing. So we have to operate with our utmost care and we have to operate with our values and understanding the other person's emotions. Because if we know, for example, infidelity, right? And that's the second reason, or, the second biggest reason why people break up is if you know that person is going to leave, if you are with someone else, then it's almost a non negotiable, right? Because then the values that you might have been building, family, etc., that might be part of the connection. And now you don't feel connected to someone who cannot even hold the chastity of what a relationship is, me and you. So, this is all to say that we need to start to look at the big, deep dive of what connection is, what attraction is, and what affection is, right? And maybe when it happens. So, when we look at attraction, right, attraction is going to ignite the conversation, right? Typically, maybe you're at the bar, right? Wherever you go to pick up someone. It could be a dating site, right? But let's do a bar. I think it's more enjoyable. We are at the bar and maybe someone is very beautiful across the way or handsome across the way and you see them, you're like, oh my goodness, look at that person, right? You're getting butterflies that you might have not gotten since in high school, and you're like, I want to talk to this individual. Now, this is not to say that you have to go up or he has to go up or she has to go up or whoever has to go up, right? You have to make a decision at that point, right? Typically, that attraction can also cause some fears because we as humans do not want to be rejected. All right. It happens at a very young age when we're young children, right? 2, 3, 4 years old. We want to feel accepted and it just expands as we grow older, right? To teens, to peer acceptance, to being an adult, to finding a boss that wants us there and it makes us feel appreciated. And the same thing in our relationships, it just keeps on expanding. So we as humans want to feel like we are wanted, loved, appreciated. And when we go up to someone and they say no, it's almost like, hmm. I guess I can't get what I want, what I'm attracted to. And it's not that there's anything wrong with you. Now, of course, we can look at the stimulus of what will make someone more attractive, more likable, things along those lines. For example, if a guy looks really good, but he doesn't smell good, are you going to keep on pursuing him? Probably not, right? Of course, right? So hygiene is important. Maybe someone doesn't look very nice, but they have a lot of money. Are you going to hang out with them? Maybe if you're a gold digger, but long term, probably not, right? Especially if they lose all their money. So there's going to be factors in the beginning that might be make or break. So if you can go beyond the attraction part, maybe you can see the connection part sooner. So when we have two people, right, we take two different people, someone who's attracted to the person across the bar and wants to go talk to them and maybe makes the move, or maybe the person who's not really attracted to someone, but they feel like as if, they're interested in this person because maybe they have a dog chain. Maybe they have like a shirt of a favorite band or something, right? There was something that that brought some level of connection. Now, you can go up to someone that you're completely not attracted to, understand, okay, well, why am I doing this or why am I talking to this person? And then fall in love, right? Most of that is Hollywood, right? Now, if a guy, for example, is very persistent, asks 15 times for a date or something like that, and you might not be completely attracted to him, it happens all the time. The woman might say, at the beginning I wasn't attracted to you, right? You were overweight, you were kind of a slob or something, right? She's making all these excuses, but then the connection happened, right? So in the scheme of a relationship, attraction only has to be there for one person in order for it to truly begin the process for connection at the next level. Now, if you are not attracted to each other and maybe you're just looking for affection, that is very possible because in our world today, in our hookup culture, most people they just kind of want to hit it and quit it or just hit it and be friends with benefits or something along those lines. Yes, they might have some level of connection because intimacy and sexual intercourse can cause that, but the reality is the connection is only the sex. It's only what you're due, in at 1 o'clock in the morning or something, or when you get off work or when you have some free time. But here's the kicker. If one or the other finds someone else that they're also attracted to, that they truly feel a love connection with, like they want to start a family with, they will leave that old relationship that they have built of just affection on the wayside. So we know that affection is not strong enough to hold a relationship, but we know that affection is important in a relationship to hold it. And this is a conundrum, right? Because we might say, if we're being affectionate, if we're doing the things, if we're, having sex 3 to 4 times a week or whatever you have, and you're saying, well, we're doing what we think we need to do, right? But that's not what true affection is, right? It's not just the aspects of procreation. Affection can be holding hands, it could be communication, it could be going out, separating your days so you can spend more time with someone. And we have to look at the three once more because when it comes to being attracted to someone, right? That attraction can wear off very quickly, especially if someone does something to be off putting. I think of, like when I was in college and, young, most of the time I wasn't looking for connection. I was looking for attraction. I'm attracted to this person and then I want to be affectionate to them, right? And that's going to be the majority of men, right? Now, when they get older and they want to settle down and start a family, now we're looking for connection, right? And the same thing is happening with a lot of women who are being promiscuous early on in life because they want to be free. They want to experience the world. And I'm not here to say what is right or wrong. You have to make a choice as a person. What do you want to be labeled as, right? Do you want to be labeled as someone who was committed to being serene and being, a person that's going to dedicate themselves to one individual? Or are you going to be someone who's going to be known for, being promiscuous or, being someone who was, able to be had by anyone And I know this is difficult for some people to understand. When a guy is looking for a girl, they're looking for a girl, typically, that maybe every guy wants, but not every guy can get. And if you are a girl that every guy can get, guess what? You're going to be a girl that no guy wants to keep long term. The connection is not going to be there. So I think of people who have been in certain industries of adult entertainment. I think of one, person, her name is like Mia Khalifa or something, right? And she was on a TikTok or she did a little short. It's so interesting where she said, there's not a guy that I wanted, that I truly wanted, that I didn't get. And then they kind of make a, like make a little funny smoof or a video after that of a guy saying, well, tell me how many of those guys stayed with you, right? Because if you're alone right now, then it means that either they didn't want to stay with you or you didn't want to stay with them. So either you wasted your time or they wasted your time. At the end of the day, your time was wasted. So this is to say that if we're trying to build a meaningful relationship or connection, what is the process? Now, this is something that's going to be independent to the person, right? Because maybe you like country music, maybe you like barbecue, maybe you're vegan or vegetarian, maybe you like fishing, or maybe you like to go out dancing. So those things might be the attraction key. They're also going to determine where you meet the individual. Because if you go out, for example, you might go to the bar, right? But maybe you don't drink. So you're not going to go to the bar. So where do you go, right? You can go to church, you can ask friends, or you can go to dating, like speed dating. You can also go to, your workplace and things like that. I'm not saying you need to go to your workplace and look for relationships. You need to go to your workplace to, make a living. But you never know where you could find love. Next big one is the online dating, right? Online dating. And you can find people from a profile. So typically what happens in the profile is you say everything that you like about yourself or what you like about a person. And you will say you're this, or you're that. And you put your best pictures up. You're not going to put your worst pictures up typically. You put your best pictures up or any picture that you have. And you basically, cast the reel. The line is just there and you're just waiting for a bite, and maybe someone hits and asks, hey, how you doing? You begin the conversation, and typically what was the reason why you reached out to them was because you were attracted about something from their profile, whether their picture or the words. Something attracted you to them. Now, of course, I know there's some people who just kind of swipe right, and they're just hoping to get it, some hit or something, right? It happens. But now we're trying to feel a connection, right? So you start the conversation. Maybe the conversation is really good. And now you say, let's go to the next level of connection. Well, the next level is going to be, let's go for a date or something, right? Maybe the date is good. Maybe the date is bad. And I find that you have more conversations than you do dates. And then you're going to find yourself that those dates are going to lead to the end of the conversation, meaning you found out something during that date that was a turnoff to you, right? And it could happen in time. It can happen in a couple of weeks where you learn about someone. Maybe their ambitions are not exactly where you want them to be. Maybe their views or values are not exactly what you wanted. So the connection, even though you were both trying to build it, it didn't happen. Now, there's a very good possibility that the attraction on the initial stage can lead to affection and you over jump the connection, especially if someone is just looking for a moment of pleasure. In our world today, many people, they love pleasure. They love instant. They love, hey, like give me this now. We have to do better at, if we want something to last long term, we just can't be all, hit quick and run. It's more of let's sit and talk and figure out how we can walk forever. And so, this article here, when I'm talking about attraction, connection, and affection, it talks about all of the different things of what attraction, connection, and affection is, right? We know that attraction ignites the interest, but that's only surface level. We know that connection is built over time and it creates the emotional safety, shared values, as I was talking about, and it creates the meaningful engagements that you want. And then the last part, the affection, it has to be done daily. It's not something where it's like, oh, yeah, on Mondays and Thursdays, that's our day when we're going to be affectionate to someone, right? It could be holding hands. It could be, a kiss goodbye in the morning or a hug when you get back home. It's the small things. And we do this for our children, even though it's not in the romantic sense, but we show them that we care, right? We show them that we're connected to them. We give them hugs. We throw them in the air. We say we love you. But why don't we do it for our partners? Why don't we do it for our, like the people we committed our life to, right? Our significant other. It is almost mind-boggling how we can do something for someone else, but we can't do it for someone else because we think in our mind that they should just know. And the reality is maybe they do know, but maybe they need some reconfirmation, right? And so you have to reaffirm your love. You have to reaffirm the connection. You have to reaffirm daily the affection that you give them. It is not something you just do haphazardly, because if you do it like that, you're going to find yourself down the road and will be wondering, where am I? Why am I in this relationship with with a roommate where now you have lost a connection? Because maybe at one point you were, but it can, be lost so quickly, right? Connection is fragile. Attraction can always be, putting on a makeup or a suit or a dress or going to the gym and looking the part, getting a clean haircut, right? That could be attraction. That can be easy. But then we look at the affection part, right? That's even easier, right? A handhold, a kiss, a hug, whatever it be, that can also be easy. So people do the easy parts and they forget the most important part, the connection part, right? Building that, making it last long term. I can only imagine, you building a house with toothpicks instead of 2x4s, or without concrete and just kind of, using sand from the beach. You're going to have some big problems. And so we have to do a better job at bridging the, bridging these three areas, right? The ACA is what I like to call it. The attraction is the initial, the connection is the middle, and then the affection is everything. And if you think about an Oreo, it doesn't matter what kind of Oreo. It could be, the chocolate ones or the vanilla ones, whichever ones you like. Just think about that in your mind, put it in your mind, and think about what kids do typically. They take apart the outer shell and they just lick the cream, right? The cream is the best part. That is the connection. So we know the best part. We know what needs to be done, but sometimes it can feel a daunting task. Maybe it feels as if no matter what you do or how you do it, you can't get your feelings across to the person that you would like to receive them. And all of that is to be said, I encourage you to check out this article here, Attraction versus Connection versus Affection, and why understanding these three is going to be the key to either building or saving your relationships. So the link is right down in the description box below. Read it, learn about it, share it with someone who maybe is looking for a relationship or who might be struggling in their relationship. And just understanding these three simple points can be a game changer into understanding that love can be yours if you know what you're looking for.